All right, fabulous students. I wanted to give you a quick overview of the Pilgrims, another group of people that came to North America in the early 1600s. Honestly, this should probably sound familiar from elementary school. So we know that Jamestown was started by England, and they're going to struggle. A lot of people are going to die. They're going to starve to death. It's a really hard time. Again, there's just land, Native Americans, and water. That's it. You've got to completely figure out how to survive. There are no stores. There are no restaurants. There's no Target. There is nothing, and you have to figure it out. So 13 years after Jamestown, we're going to have another group of people that we refer to as the Pilgrims. They didn't call themselves that, but we do. So 102 men, women, and children are going to get on a ship like this. They're going to sail from England to Holland to North America, and they want to leave England because there's no freedom of religion. They want to go to a place where they aren't going to get in trouble for what they believe. It's going to be a long 66-day voyage on board a ship. Their plan is to go from England to Holland to right here, Jamestown, where the other settlement was started, but their ship gets blown off course. So they go way up here and they land in present day, what we call Massachusetts. And again, there's no one there but them and the natives. So they are going to land here, Plymouth. They're going to build a little settlement. They are going to be the first Europeans in Massachusetts. Now, the men of the Mayflower, sorry, you see this lady over here. She has no rights, no power, so she doesn't really have a voice. The men of the Mayflower are going to decide that they're all going to work together to make fair laws for the people of their new colony. They're going to just vote on decisions together. The king is 3,000 miles away. There are no phones. There's no internet. There's no texting. So he can't tell them what to do. So they are going to work together. Now, they're going to call this agreement the Mayflower Compact after the name of their ship. A legal contract in which they agreed to have fair laws to protect the general good of everyone in their new colony of Plymouth. And here's the most important thing. The Mayflower Compact is going to establish the idea of self-government. We are going to govern ourselves. We're going to rule ourselves because the king is too far away to tell us what to do. So here was the Mayflower Compact, very short. They're all going to sign it. So again, they're all going to work together. All men can enact laws. They're going to elect officials, and everyone is going to follow the will of the majority. We're going to make laws that are fair for everyone, and we're all going to rule the colony. So when they get to what we call Massachusetts, they're going to build a little settlement, really looks like this, close to the water. They're going to find right away that it is very hard to plant food, because the soil is very rocky. So they really struggle with just planting food. Also, winters are extremely long, extremely cold. So within a year, half of the 102 men, women, and children that arrive in Plymouth, they die, just like Jamestown. But they die for different reasons. Jamestown, they died because the first men that arrived refused to really focus on survival. They were looking for gold. But the people of Plymouth actually are trying to plant, but they're really struggling between the weather and the bad soil. So half of them die, and the other half would have died if it wasn't for the natives, the Native Americans who live nearby and actually intervened. They helped them. They showed them how to plant. They showed them what to plant, how to fish. And so the Pilgrims with the natives have a big celebration. We call that Thanksgiving today. We still celebrate what they went through and just their survival. They did not have turkey at the first Thanksgiving, but they just wanted to celebrate that they survived. And so they're going to grow. And from that point on, more and more settlers are going to come. And then eventually we're going to have 13 separate colonies that England is going to start, which will be the beginnings of the first 13 states, which will be the origins of America. If you lived in the 1600s, even 1700s, life was very, very hard. There were no stores, no restaurants, no conveniences. So let me give you a quick idea of what life was like. This man is a cobbler. He's making shoes. Your shoes would have to be made by hand. Your clothes would have to be made by hand. You might have, like this, 2 pairs of clothes. That's probably it. That's it. That's all you got. 2 pairs of clothes. And it took a very long time to make them. Ladies, you are cooking all day long, morning, noon, and night over a stove. There is no time to do a lot more than cook, because there is just constant work to do. You can't buy food. All food has to be made. This is a butter churn. Even butter has to be made. So cooking is just something that occurs all the time. There is no electricity. So even making candles, your little brothers and sisters would make candles by dipping pieces of string in wax. Very tedious, took a long time. So things that we just take for granted, people had to do all the time. So after we have the 13 colonies established, we're going to have 2 groups of people that are going to be used to work in the colonies. Most people are farmers, and people have very, very large farms. Think of Miller times 5 or 10 times the size of this school. So you can't do all the work on your own. People in the colonies need help. A lot of people in Europe, specifically England, they want to come to the colonies to start a new life. There's way more opportunities in the colonies than in England, but people can't afford the voyage over. It's simply too expensive. So many people, thousands of men and women, black and white, became indentured servants. That is when a family in one of the colonies would pay for your boat ride over. They would give you a place to stay. They would give you food every day. And in exchange, you would work for them for 4 to 7 years. Probably you're doing farm work. You're helping with the cooking, the cleaning, raise the kids. So for 4 to 7 years, you are literally putting your life on hold to work for another family. But then after that time, whatever you agree on, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, you are free. You're usually given a small piece of land, some tools, some seed, and now you're free to start your own life. This is a choice that you're making to leave your home, come to the colonies, and put your life on hold, give up your freedom in order to start a new life. Now, another group that is being used in all colonies originally are Africans. Slavery is very common in the 1600s in most of the world. So it's very common. So slaves from Western Africa are bought by colonists, by England and by the colonists, and they come here and they are forced to work in all 13 colonies, starting in Jamestown as early as 1619. Now, these men and women are held against their will. This is not their choice. Indentured servants want to come here. They're making a decision to put their life on hold. But Africans are not given that choice. They are held as slaves for their entire lives. Often they are treated very, very poorly. They're not treated well, and they're not paid. So here's the difference. An indentured servant, this man on the left, he is counting down the years till his freedom. The slave, the man on his right, will never be free again, because the slave was not given the choice to come. So both of these groups are going to be used for labor in all 13 colonies. And then finally, the triangular trade. If you look at the Atlantic Ocean, I have these 3 red arrows. We have North America, where we are. We have Europe, specifically England, and Africa. These 3 continents are going to trade items with each other. You see that sugar and tobacco, cotton are going to go from North America to Europe, and then Europe is going to sell textiles, which is cloth, rum, and other goods to Africa, and then Africa is going to sell slaves to the Americas. So all 3 of these continents are trading with each other in the 1600s. It's known as the triangular trade because it forms somewhat of a triangle between the continents. Here's another view. So over time, England is going to start 13 colonies. Other countries are going to try to start towns in North America, and it's just not going to work. So here's Jamestown, the first beginning of the first colony, and then Massachusetts, Plymouth, way up here. So over 120 years, England is going to start these 13 colonies. Thousands upon thousands of people are going to move from Europe to these colonies. And again, this is what will be the beginnings of America. So you're going to look a little bit further about the differences between the colonies at the top in pink that we call the New England colonies, the colonies in the middle, the tan color, we call the middle colonies, and then the orangish yellow color at the bottom, the southern colonies. So we're going to end here, and I'll let you get to your homework.